Suppose if the short workings have occurred in the first year, so he has an option to recover that in the second as well as third year. Your minimum rent is greater than royalty, you will apply the same journal entries. Whereas you had carried down 2000, now you are recovered that 2000, so short workings account is done. Here royalty is greater than minimum rent, so you don't have short workings, but you can recover the short workings. Hello everyone, I am Harshita, lecturer, Department of Commerce, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. My dear students, today we are in the third session of Unit 4 of the subject Financial Accounting 1, and this is for first SEM BCom student. So your Unit 4 is all about royalty accounts. So let us quickly recall what we have discussed in a previous session. So in the previous session, we have covered problems on royalty. That is, we have already solved 2 problems on royalty. That is in your last session. That is how we have to prepare the royalty analysis table. Then various ledger accounts also has been prepared in the last session. In today's session, we shall continue with one more problem. So as I told you, this problem on royalty will come for 10 marks in your exam. Now go through the problem. Manjunatha to manufacture and sell a machinery patented by Bala on royalty basis. Now they are into royalty or they are into a royalty agreement, that is a lease agreement, where Manjunatha is going to pay the royalty for Bala. Royalty is rupees 50 per unit and minimum rent being rupees 20,000 in the first year. Now what is a royalty? So whatever the production they are going to make, so based on that 50 per unit will be the royalty, and minimum rent, so minimum rent in the first year is how much? 20,000, and in the second year, so the minimum rent is 22,000, and in the third year, minimum rent is 24,000. So they have clearly given there. So minimum rent is 20,000 in the first year, 22,000 in the second year, and 24,000 from third year onwards. After that, so whatever they are going to do the production, so the royalty or the minimum rent will be how much? 24,000. Short workings can be recovered in the next 2 years. So whenever the short workings have been occurred, so from that leaving that year, so lessor have given a chance to recover that short workings in the next 2 years. Suppose if the short workings have occurred in the first year, so he has an option to recover that in the second as well as third year. So next 2 years from the happening of short workings, so they have given a chance. Now the output and sales was 250 units in the first year. So 250 units in the first year, and what is the rate per unit? So rate per unit is 50. So 250 into 50 will be the first year royalty. Second year it is 400 units into 50. Next third year, so third year is 480 units into 50. Next fourth year they have given, so fourth year is 600 units into 50. So this will be the royalty. So as I told you, minimum rent is how much? 20,000, 22,000, and after that 24,000. So first year minimum rent is 20,000, second year 22,000, after that it will be 24,000. So 24,000 in the third year and 24,000 in the fourth year. So this will be the royalty and this will be the minimum rent. So give ledger accounts in the books of Manjunatha. Okay, so let us see what are the accounts they have to prepare here. Now go through the solution directly. So first we have to prepare royalty analysis table, and rate of royalty is 50 per ton. Okay, now you know the table here: year, output, rate per ton, royalty, minimum rent, short workings recovered, short workings not recovered, amount paid to landlord. Okay, now come to the first year. So the first year is, they have given 1, 2, 3, 4. Now come to the first year. So what is the output? 250 into 50. So 250 into 50, 12,500 is a royalty. And what is the minimum rent? Minimum rent is 20,000. Now see this situation, your minimum rent is greater than royalty. Then amount payable is what? minimum rent. So minimum rent is greater than royalty. So the amount payable is minimum rent, and there is a short working because your minimum rent is greater than royalty. So you have a short working, that is 20,000 minus 12,500. So short working is 7,500 in the first year. So there is no short workings recovered. So you could not recover the short workings, and short workings not recovered is also not there. Then what is the amount paid to landlord? That is either minimum rent or royalty, whichever is greater will be paid to landlord. So here in the first year, minimum rent is greater. So minimum rent is paid to landlord. Now come to the second year. So what is the actual production? 400 into 50. So 400 into 50 will be the royalty, that is 20,000. Then what is the minimum rent? Minimum rent is 22,000. So in this situation also, you are going to make the payment, that is you are going to pay the minimum rent because minimum rent is greater than royalty. So you will have short workings here. This 22,000 minus 20,000. So 2,000 is the short workings. Now in order to recover this short working 7,500, they have given 2 years. Whereas in the second year, you could not recover the short working because in the second year itself there is short workings. Okay. So short workings recovered, nothing. Short workings not recovered is also nothing. Now what is the amount paid to landlord? Minimum rent or royalty, whichever is greater is paid to landlord. So here minimum rent is greater. So 22,000 is paid to landlord. Now come to the third year. So third year, so what is the production? 480 into 50. So 480 into 50, so 24,000 is a royalty. But what is the minimum rent? 24,000 itself is a minimum rent. So both are equal. Okay. So both are equal. So there is no short workings. So short workings is nil. You could not recover the short working because there is no excess royalty. It is equal. So short workings recovered is not there. Short workings not recovered is there. Why? Because for this 7,500, it has to be recovered in these 2 years, but we could not recover. There was no excess amount. Now this 7,500 will be transferred to profit and loss account because it is not recovered. Now what is the amount paid to landlord? Both are equal. So royalty will be paid to landlord. How much? That is 24,000. Now come to the last year, that is fourth year. So what is the production? 600 into 50. So 600 into 50. So your production is 30,000, royalty is 30,000. Then what is the minimum rent? So minimum rent is 24,000. So minimum rent is 24,000. Here royalty is greater than minimum rent. So you don't have short workings, but you can recover the short workings. So there is an excess of how much? 6,000 rupees there is an excess. But you have a short workings. Now this 2,000 can be recovered in next 2 years. In the sense this is the last year to recover the short workings. So you have excess of 2,000. So whole this excess of 6,000. So whole this 2,000 can be recovered very easily. So short workings recovered is 2,000. And what is the amount paid to landlord? So short workings as well as minimum rent, whichever is greater is paid to landlord. So you had a royalty of 30,000. So 30,000, but you have recovered 2,000 here. So 30,000 minus 2,000. So 28,000 will be paid to the landlord. So hope you are clear about it. So you had an excess of 6,000, but you had to pay only 2,000 short working. So you have paid it full. So nothing is transferred to profit and loss account. Okay. But what is the amount paid to landlord? So royalty minus short workings recovered. So royalty was 30,000 minus short workings recovered is 2,000. So remaining 28,000 will be paid to landlord. So hope you are clear with this royalty table. Now we shall go through the ledger accounts. Now see the first entry. So here minimum rent is greater than royalty. So what is payable? Minimum rent is payable to landlord. So your first entry is what? Minimum rent account debtor to landlord account. So minimum rent account debtor to landlord account. So this is your first entry. Now this minimum rent includes, now this 20,000 includes royalty as well as short workings. Correct? So what is your entry? Royalty account debtor, short workings account debtor to minimum rent account. So this will be the second entry. Now third entry is you are actually making the payment to landlord. So your entry is landlord account data to bank account. Next, fourth entry, you are going to transfer the royalty to profit and loss account. So profit and loss account data to royalty account. So this is the fourth entry. Now hope you are clear with the journal entry. Now we shall directly go through the ledger accounts. So in your landlord, how do you write? By minimum rent. So what is the minimum rent? 20,000. So by minimum rent 20,000. Okay. Next, in landlord you will write by minimum rent. In minimum rent account, how do you write? To landlord 20,000. So in minimum rent you will write to landlord 20,000. Next, coming to the second entry, royalty account data, short working account data to minimum rent. So in minimum rent, how do you write? By royalty. So royalty is how much? 12,500. By short working 7,500. So in minimum rent, by royalty 12,500, by short workings 7,500. So both the sides are equal. So we are done with minimum rent. Now come to the next one. So in royalty, how do you write? Royalty account 12,500 to minimum rent. So in royalty account, you will write to minimum rent. That is how much? 12,500. Next, under short workings, to minimum rent, short workings is 7,500. So in short workings, that is to minimum rent 7,500. Now come to the next entry, landlord account data to bank account. So how do you write in landlord account? To bank account 20,000. So both the sides are equal now. Next, in last entry, profit and loss account data to royalty account. So in royalty account, you will write it as by profit and loss. So by profit and loss 12,500. So hope you are clear with the first year entry. Now come to the second year. So in the second year also, your minimum rent is greater than royalty. You will apply the same journal entries. Now come to the first one, minimum rent account data to landlord. So in landlord, how do you write? By minimum rent. So what is the minimum rent? 22,000. Okay. Now this is under landlord. That is by minimum rent. So in minimum rent, how do you write? To landlord. So in minimum rent, you will write to landlord 22,000. Next, royalty account data, short workings account data to minimum rent. So in minimum rent, how do you write? By royalty. Royalty is 20,000. Short workings 2,000. So by royalty 20,000. By short workings 2,000. So that is 22,000. Both the sides are equal. Next, under royalty, how do you write? To minimum rent. So under royalty account, you will write it as to minimum rent 20,000. Next, under short workings, to minimum rent. Short workings is 2,000. So under short workings, you will have a balancing carried down. So in the first year, it was 7,500. Carried down that balance. Now whatever carried down, bring down the balance at the beginning of next year, that is 7,500, and to minimum rent 2,000. So it is 9,500. So there is nothing in the second year they have not recovered. So balance carried down 9,500. So both the sides are 9,500. Next year beginning you will bring down that balance 9,500. So we shall see later what you are going to do in the third year. So we are done with this. Now come to the next entry, landlord account data to bank account. So in landlord, how do you write? To bank account. So to bank account, how much? 22,000. So we are done with the second year, that is landlord account. Next, under royalty account, by profit and loss account. So under royalty account, by profit and loss account. So we are done with all the entries relating to the second year. Now come to the third year. So here both are equal. Then what are the journal entries? So when both are equal, you are making the payment of royalty. So your entry will be royalty account debtor to landlord. So this is a situation where when minimum rent and royalty are equal, so your entry is royalty account debtor to landlord. Next, you will make the payment to landlord. So landlord account debtor to bank account. So this is your third entry. Next, you will transfer the royalty to profit and loss account. So, what is the entry? Profit and loss account data to royalty account. Next, if there is any short workings which is not recovered, so we shall go through third year. There is 7,500 which is not recovered, we will transfer to profit and loss account. So, what is the entry? Profit and loss account data to short workings account. Okay, so this will be the entry. Now, we shall go through the entry. So, the first entry is royalty account data to landlord. So, in landlord, how do you write? By royalty 24,000. Because the royalty is how much? 24,000. Whereas in royalty account, how do you write? To landlord. So, to landlord 24,000. Okay. Next entry is landlord to bank. So, here how do you write? Landlord account data to bank account. Here to bank account. Next third entry, profit and loss to royalty. So, in royalty by profit and loss. So, in royalty by profit and loss account 24,000. Next last entry under short workings by profit and loss account. So, under short workings, so by profit and loss account 7,500. So, this 7,500 we could not recover. Next by balance carried down 2,000 because here it is 9,500 whereas there it is only 7,500. So, the balancing figure of 2,000 has to be carried down. So, whatever the amount you have carried down, that is 2,000, bring down that balance 2,000. Next, we shall see in the fourth year. So, hope you are clear with the third year. So, when minimum rent and royalty are equal, you are making the payment of royalty. Okay. Now, come to the fourth year. So, fourth year, here it is. So, when royalty is greater than minimum rent, you are making the payment of royalty. So, your entry will be royalty account debtor to landlord, and if any short working is recovered, to short workings. So, this will be the first entry. Second entry, you are making payment to landlord. So, landlord account debtor to bank. Next, third entry. So, what is the third entry? You are transferring the royalty to profit and loss. So, profit and loss account debtor to royalty. So, this is how will be the entries. Now, come to the first entry, royalty account debtor to landlord to short workings. Now, how do you write in landlord? By royalty. So, by royalty 28,000. Okay. Next, that is under landlord. Next, under royalty to landlord to short workings. Next, under royalty to short workings 2,000 to landlord 28,000. So, total it is 30,000. So, you are just reversing the journal entry. So, here you will write it as to short workings account 2,000 to landlord account 28,000. So, the total is how much? 30,000. Next, under short workings, how do you write? By royalty. So, by royalty how much? That is short workings is 2,000, correct? So, how do you write? 2,000. So, under short workings, you will write by royalty 2,000 because 2,000 is recovered. Whereas you had carried down 2,000, now you are recovered that 2,000. So, short workings account is done. Next entry is what? Landlord account debtor to bank account. So, how do you write? Here to bank account 28,000. You are actually making the payment of 28,000. See here, you are making the payment of 28,000 to bank account. Next, profit and loss account debtor to royalty. So, how do you write under royalty? By profit and loss. So, by profit and loss account 30,000. Okay, so you are making the payment. That is the royalty, actual royalty transferred to profit and loss account is 30,000. So, we are done with landlord account completely. We are done with royalty account. We are done with short workings account. Next, we are done with minimum rent account because minimum rent was only for 2 years. That is where minimum rent is greater than royalty. So, always we had paid this minimum rent. So, my dear students, hope you have understood today's session. This was a simple problem on royalty. See you all in my next session. Till then, take care. Thank you.